Hello, beautiful soul. Come, sit with me for a moment. Take a gentle breath and let yourself settle into this sacred space we're creating together. I want you to know that your presence here today takes tremendous courage. The very fact that you're seeking to understand what true self-respect feels like tells me something wonderful about you. It tells me that deep in your heart, you know you deserve to feel good about yourself, to honor who you are, and to treat yourself with the same kindness you so freely give to others. Right now, wherever you are in your life, whatever challenges you may be facing, whatever voices in your head might be telling you that you're not enough, I want you to know that those voices are not your truth. They never have been, and they never will be. You see, so many of us walk through life carrying this heavy burden of not feeling worthy, not feeling deserving of love, respect, and good things. We've learned to be our own harshest critics, to diminish our light, to apologize for taking up space in this world. But what if I told you that this learned behavior, this pattern of treating yourself poorly, can be unlearned? What if I told you that the capacity for deep, genuine self-respect already lives within you, waiting to be awakened? Today, we're going on a beautiful journey together. We're going to explore what true self-respect actually feels like. Not the false bravado or the need to prove yourself to others, but the quiet, steady strength that comes from truly knowing your worth. We're going to look honestly at where you might be right now in your relationship with yourself, and most importantly, we're going to begin the gentle work of transformation. This isn't about becoming someone different. This is about returning to who you truly are, beneath all the conditioning, beneath all the wounds, beneath all the stories you've been told about your value. The path we're walking together today will take us through understanding, recognition, and ultimately, profound healing. We'll discover together how your thoughts about yourself create your reality, how your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life, and how making peace with who you are opens doors you never knew existed. This is sacred work, and you're doing it with such grace just by being here. Now let's talk about what true self-respect really is, because so often we confuse it with other things. True self-respect isn't about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's not about being arrogant or selfish or demanding that the world revolve around you. True self-respect is something much more beautiful and much more powerful than that. It's a deep, quiet knowing that you matter. It's the ability to look at yourself with the same compassion you would show a dear friend. It's understanding that your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, and your needs are valid and important. When you truly respect yourself, there's a softness to it, not a hardness. There's strength, yes, but it's the kind of strength that comes from love, not from fear. It's like having a warm, steady flame inside you that no outside wind can extinguish. This flame doesn't need to prove itself or fight for attention. It simply glows with its own inner light, and that light becomes a beacon for others to find their way to their own self-respect. True self-respect feels like coming home to yourself. It feels like finally being able to breathe deeply because you're not constantly holding your breath, waiting for someone else's approval to exhale. It's the peace that comes from knowing that your worth doesn't depend on your performance, your achievements, your appearance, or what others think of you. Your worth simply is because you are. It's built into the very fabric of your being, just as the capacity to bloom is built into every flower seed. When you respect yourself, you begin to notice how differently you move through the world. Your posture changes, not because you're trying to look confident, but because you're no longer carrying the weight of self-judgment on your shoulders. Your voice changes too. It becomes clearer, more authentic, because you're no longer afraid of speaking your truth. You start making different choices that honor your well-being, your values, your dreams. You stop accepting treatment that doesn't match your worth, and you start attracting people and experiences that do. This kind of self-respect creates a beautiful boundary around you, not a wall that keeps love out, but a loving fence that keeps harm from entering. It's the difference between a garden that's overrun with weeds and one that's carefully tended. When you respect yourself, you become the loving gardener of your own life, carefully choosing what you allow to grow in the sacred space of your heart and mind. Perhaps most beautifully, true self-respect has this wonderful way of rippling outward. When you treat yourself with kindness and dignity, you naturally begin to see that same divine worth in others. Your relationships become healthier because you're no longer looking to others to fill the void that only self-love can fill. You stop trying to earn love and start simply receiving it and giving it freely. But here's what I know to be true about most of us. We weren't taught how to respect ourselves. We learned very early to look outside ourselves for validation, for permission to feel good about who we are. We learned to measure our worth by external standards that were often impossible to meet. We learned to be people pleasers, to shrink ourselves to make others comfortable, to apologize for our very existence. Many of us learned to speak to ourselves in ways we would never dream of speaking to another human being. We became experts at noticing everything that was wrong with us while being blind to everything that was right. We learned to focus on our mistakes, our flaws, our shortcomings, as if constantly criticizing ourselves would somehow motivate us to become better. But what we discovered, perhaps painfully, is that criticism doesn't create positive change. Love does. Some of us learned to equate self-respect with selfishness. We were taught that putting ourselves first was wrong, that our needs didn't matter as much as everyone else's, that taking care of ourselves was somehow taking away from others. We learned to feel guilty for wanting good things for ourselves, for setting boundaries, for saying no when we needed to. We learned to sacrifice our own well-being on the altar of other people's comfort, thinking this made us good people, when really it just made us tired, resentful, and disconnected from our own truth. Others of us learned to tie our worth to our productivity, our achievements, our ability to be perfect. We learned that love was conditional, that we had to earn it by being good enough, smart enough, successful enough, beautiful enough. We became human doings instead of human beings, constantly striving to prove our value instead of simply knowing it. We learned to fear failure so deeply that we stopped taking risks, stopped dreaming, stopped allowing ourselves to be seen in our full, imperfect humanity. And then there are those of us who learn to disappear altogether. We learn to make ourselves small, to take up as little space as possible, to have no needs, no opinions, no desires that might inconvenience anyone else. We learned to be chameleons, constantly changing ourselves to fit what we thought others wanted us to be. We lost touch with who we really were underneath all those masks, and somewhere along the way, we forgot that we even had a right to exist as our authentic selves. The cost of living without self-respect is enormous, though we often don't realize it until we begin to reclaim it. When we don't respect ourselves, we accept less than we deserve in every area of our lives. We stay in relationships that drain us, jobs that diminish us, situations that don't serve our highest good. We say yes when we mean no, and we say no to opportunities that could bring us joy and growth. We live in a constant state of anxiety because we're always trying to be someone we're not, always trying to meet impossible standards, always waiting for permission to be ourselves. Without self-respect, we become disconnected from our own intuition, our own inner wisdom. We stop trusting ourselves to make good decisions, to know what's right for us, to navigate our own lives. We look to everyone else for answers that can only come from within. We give our power away piece by piece until we feel like victims of our own lives instead of the creators of our own destiny. The beautiful truth is that no matter how far you may have traveled from self-respect, the path back is always available to you. No matter how long you've been treating yourself poorly, you can choose to begin treating yourself well right now. No matter how many times you've abandoned yourself, you can choose to come home to yourself today. This isn't about perfection. This is about progress. This isn't about getting it right all the time. This is about being willing to try, to practice, to be patient with yourself as you learn new ways of being. Your willingness to be here, to explore these ideas, to consider that you might deserve to feel good about yourself. That willingness is already the beginning of change. That willingness is already an act of self-respect. You're saying to yourself, I matter enough to invest time in my own healing. I'm worth the effort it takes to feel better about who I am. That's no small thing, dear one. That's actually quite revolutionary in a world that profits from our self-doubt. Now let's explore something truly fascinating about self-respect, the way it lives not just in your mind, but in every cell of your body. You see, your body is constantly listening to the conversation you're having with yourself. Every thought you think about who you are, every judgment you make about your worth, every moment of self-criticism or self-compassion gets translated into physical sensations, energy patterns, and even chemical responses throughout your entire being. When you think thoughts of self-respect, your body responds with openness, relaxation, and vitality. Your shoulders naturally settle into a more comfortable position. Your breathing becomes deeper and more natural. There's a subtle but powerful shift in your energy that others can feel, even when you're not saying a word. It's as if your cells themselves are sighing with relief, finally receiving the love and acceptance they've been craving. Think about how your body feels when you catch yourself in a moment of genuine self-appreciation. Maybe you've just accomplished something you're proud of, or maybe you've simply looked in the mirror and felt a moment of kindness toward yourself. There's a warmth that spreads through your chest, a lightness in your step, a clarity in your mind. This isn't just emotional. This is your nervous system responding to thoughts of love and acceptance by creating a state of safety and well-being throughout your entire being. On the other hand, when you engage in self-criticism, when you judge yourself harshly or tell yourself you're not good enough, your body responds as if it's under attack. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a real threat and the threat of your own harsh inner voice. Your muscles tense, your breathing becomes shallow, your heart rate increases. Over time, this chronic state of self-induced stress can manifest as physical symptoms, headaches, digestive issues, fatigue, and a general sense of dis-ease in your own skin. The beautiful truth is that as you begin to change your internal dialogue, as you start speaking to yourself with more kindness and respect, your body begins to heal. Your nervous system starts to relax into a state of trust rather than defense. Your energy becomes more vibrant because you're no longer depleting yourself with constant internal warfare. You begin to carry yourself differently, not because you're trying to look confident, but because confidence is the natural result of treating yourself well. When someone truly respects themselves, you can see it in their presence long before they say a word. There's a quality of ease about them, a groundedness that comes from being comfortable in their own skin. They don't need to prove anything to anyone because they're not trying to convince themselves of their worth. They simply know it. Their energy is neither aggressive nor apologetic. It's simply present, authentic, and real. This kind of presence comes from having made peace with yourself, with your strengths and your growing edges, with your successes and your mistakes, with your light and your shadow. It comes from understanding that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and respect. You just have to be human, and being human is more than enough. Your body holds the memory of every kind word and every harsh criticism you've ever given yourself. But here's the miraculous thing about your body. It's always ready to respond to love. No matter how long you've been treating yourself poorly, the moment you begin to speak to yourself with kindness, your body begins to soften, to open, to heal. Your nervous system begins to remember what safety feels like. Your energy begins to shift from defense to growth, from survival to thriving. As you begin to notice your internal dialogue, you might be surprised by how often you speak to yourself in ways that are unkind, dismissive, or downright cruel. This awareness is not meant to be another reason to judge yourself. Instead, it's an invitation to become curious about these patterns, to observe them with the same gentle attention you might give to a friend who's struggling. The process of releasing old patterns that block self-respect is like tending a garden that's been neglected for years. You don't uproot everything at once. You work gently, patiently, with love and care. You start by identifying the weeds, those limiting beliefs about yourself that have taken root in the soil of your consciousness and have been choking out the beautiful flowers of your true nature. These limiting beliefs often sound like absolute truths. I'm not smart enough. I don't deserve good things. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I always mess things up. Nobody could love the real me. These beliefs feel so familiar, so much a part of who you think you are, that questioning them can feel scary at first. But questioning them is exactly what we need to do, because these beliefs are not facts about you. They're simply thoughts you've been thinking for so long that they've worn grooves in your mind. The power of forgiveness in reclaiming your self-respect cannot be overstated. We often think of forgiveness as something we give to others, but the most important forgiveness is the forgiveness you give to yourself. You need to forgive yourself for all the times you didn't know better. You need to forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, the opportunities you've missed, the ways you've let yourself down. You need to forgive yourself for believing the lies about your worth, for treating yourself poorly, for abandoning yourself when you needed your own love the most. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending that nothing happened or that everything was okay. Forgiveness means releasing the grip that past pain has on your present moment. It means choosing to see your past self with compassion instead of condemnation. It means understanding that you did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time, and that you're allowed to grow, to change, to become more loving toward yourself, starting right now. One gentle technique for releasing self-judgment is to treat yourself like you would treat a beloved child who's learning to walk. When a child falls down, you don't stand over them criticizing their technique or telling them they'll never get it right. You help them up, dust them off, tell them they're doing great, and encourage them to try again. You can begin to offer yourself this same patience, this same encouragement, this same loving support as you learn new ways of being with yourself. Another beautiful practice is to consciously create space for new, loving thoughts about yourself. Just as you might clear out a cluttered room to make space for something beautiful, you can clear out the mental clutter of self-criticism to make space for self-appreciation. This doesn't happen overnight, but it happens one thought at a time, one moment of kindness at a time, one choice to treat yourself well at a time. As you release these old patterns, you're not just getting rid of something negative, you're making room for something magnificent. You're making room for your authentic self to emerge, for your natural confidence to blossom, for your innate wisdom to guide you. You're making room for the kind of self-respect that doesn't need to defend itself because it knows its own truth. Now, let's talk about building your foundation of self-respect, because this is where the real transformation begins. Building genuine self-respect is like building a house. You need a strong foundation if you want the structure to last. The foundation of self-respect is built on core principles that become the bedrock of how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you. The first principle is recognizing that your needs matter, not more than anyone else's, but certainly not less. You have the right to feel safe, to be treated with kindness, to have your boundaries respected, to express your authentic self. You have the right to take up space in this world, to have opinions, to make choices that serve your well-being. These aren't privileges you have to earn. These are your birthright as a human being. The second principle is learning to trust your inner wisdom. You have an internal guidance system that knows what's right for you, what serves you, what aligns with your truth. This inner wisdom might have been silenced by years of listening to everyone else's opinions about your life, but it's still there, waiting to be heard. Trusting yourself means learning to quiet the external noise long enough to hear your own voice, and then having the courage to follow its guidance. Setting healthy boundaries is perhaps one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you can practice. Boundaries aren't walls that keep love out. They're loving limits that protect your energy, your time, your emotional well-being. They're a way of saying, I value myself enough to protect what's sacred to me. When you set a boundary, you're not being mean or selfish. You're being responsible for your own well-being, which is actually a gift to everyone around you. Learning to say no with grace is an art form that serves both you and others. When you say no to something that doesn't align with your truth, you're creating space to say yes to what does. You're honoring your authentic self instead of living from obligation, resentment, or fear. A graceful no is honest, kind, and firm. It doesn't require elaborate explanations or apologies. It simply states your truth with love and respect for both yourself and others. And when you do say yes, let it be a wholehearted yes that comes from enthusiasm rather than obligation. When your yes comes from a place of genuine alignment, you bring so much more energy, creativity, and joy to whatever you're saying yes to. You become someone who contributes from overflow rather than depletion, and that's a gift to everyone involved. The foundation of self-respect also includes the principle of treating yourself with the same compassion you would show a dear friend. This means speaking to yourself kindly, especially when you make mistakes. It means acknowledging your efforts and progress, not just your outcomes. It means celebrating your small victories and being patient with your growing edges. It means recognizing that you're human, and being human means you're perfectly imperfect. And that's not only okay, it's beautiful. The beauty of self-respect lies not just in understanding it, but in weaving it into the fabric of your daily life through simple, loving practices. The way you begin each morning sets the tone for how you'll treat yourself throughout the entire day. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone or rushing into the demands of the day, what if you gave yourself the gift of a gentle morning ritual that honors your worth? You might begin by simply placing your hand on your heart as you wake up and taking 3 deep breaths, silently thanking your body for carrying you through another night of rest and renewal. This simple gesture sends a message to your entire being that you're worthy of tenderness, worthy of care, worthy of a peaceful start to your day. Some mornings, you might choose to write down 3 things you appreciate about yourself. Not necessarily big accomplishments, but simple acknowledgments of your humanity. I appreciate how I listened to my friend yesterday. I appreciate that I chose nourishing food for my body. I appreciate my willingness to keep growing. Mirror work, though it might feel uncomfortable at first, becomes one of the most powerful practices for building genuine self-respect. When you look into your own eyes in the mirror and speak words of kindness to yourself, you're literally rewiring years of conditioning that taught you to look away from yourself, to avoid your own gaze, to feel uncomfortable with your own reflection. Start small and be patient with yourself. You might simply look into your eyes and say, "Good morning, beautiful soul," or "I'm learning to love you exactly as you are." As you practice mirror work regularly, you'll notice that the person looking back at you begins to soften. The critical voice that used to dominate when you saw your reflection begins to quiet, replaced by a gentler, more loving perspective. You begin to see yourself the way a loving parent sees their child, with unconditional acceptance and delight in your very existence. Journaling becomes a sacred conversation with yourself, a place where you can explore your thoughts and feelings without judgment, where you can celebrate your growth and process your challenges with compassion. You might ask yourself questions like, "How did I honor myself today? What am I learning about treating myself with respect? What boundaries do I need to set to protect my energy? What am I grateful for about myself right now?" The evening hours offer another beautiful opportunity to practice self-respect through celebration rather than criticism. Instead of replaying everything you think you did wrong during the day, you can choose to acknowledge everything you did right. You can celebrate the small victories, the moment you spoke kindly to yourself, the boundary you maintained, the choice you made from love rather than fear. You can end your day by placing your hand on your heart and saying something like, "Thank you for doing your best today. Thank you for your willingness to grow and learn. I'm proud of you." These daily practices aren't about perfection. They're about creating consistent moments of connection with yourself, consistent opportunities to choose love over criticism, respect over judgment. They're about training your mind to notice and appreciate your goodness instead of constantly focusing on what needs to be fixed or improved. As you begin to consistently treat yourself with respect through these daily practices, something magical happens in all your relationships. You see, the relationship you have with yourself is the template for every other relationship in your life. When you truly respect yourself, you stop looking to others to validate your worth, to complete you, or to fix what you think is broken about you. Instead, you come to relationships as a whole person, able to love and be loved from a place of fullness rather than neediness. People are naturally drawn to those who have a healthy relationship with themselves. There's something magnetic about someone who doesn't need constant reassurance, who doesn't drain others with self-deprecating comments, who can receive compliments gracefully and give love freely. When you respect yourself, you're not constantly seeking approval or trying to prove your worth. You simply are who you are, and that authenticity is refreshing and attractive. Your relationships become healthier because you're no longer willing to accept treatment that doesn't match your worth. You don't stay in friendships that are one-sided, romantic relationships that diminish you, or family dynamics that consistently disrespect your boundaries. This doesn't mean you become harsh or demanding. It means you become clear about what you will and won't accept, and you communicate these boundaries with love and firmness. When you respect yourself, you also begin to see others more clearly. You're not projecting your own insecurities onto them or trying to change them to make yourself feel better. You can appreciate them for who they are while maintaining your own sense of self. You can love without losing yourself, support without sacrificing yourself, care without compromising yourself. The ripple effect of self-respect extends far beyond your immediate relationships. When you treat yourself well, you're modeling for others how to treat themselves well. Your children, if you have them, learn what healthy self-regard looks like. Your friends begin to examine their own relationship with themselves. Your colleagues notice your quiet confidence and your ability to maintain boundaries with grace. You become a living example of what's possible when someone chooses to honor their own worth. You show others that it's safe to be authentic, safe to have needs, safe to take up space in the world. Your self-respect gives others permission to respect themselves too, creating a beautiful cycle of healing and empowerment that extends far beyond your own life. Living with authentic self-respect means moving through the world as your true self rather than the version of yourself you think others want to see. It means making choices from love rather than fear, from alignment rather than obligation, from your own inner guidance rather than external pressure. This doesn't mean you become selfish or inconsiderate. It means you become genuine in ways that actually serve everyone around you. When you're living your authentic truth, there's a peace that settles into your bones. You're no longer exhausted from pretending to be someone you're not, no longer anxious about being found out or not measuring up. You're simply yourself, and that's enough. More than enough, it's everything. You begin to trust your instincts and make decisions that align with your values and desires. You choose work that feeds your soul rather than just your bank account. You surround yourself with people who appreciate the real you rather than a carefully crafted image. You speak your truth even when your voice shakes because you know that your voice matters. This authentic way of living attracts opportunities and experiences that truly fit who you are. When you're not trying to be everything to everyone, you become exactly what the right people need. When you're not hiding your light, it can illuminate the path for others who are walking a similar journey. The peace that comes from being true to yourself is unlike anything else. It's the peace of no longer being at war with who you are. It's the peace of knowing that you're living in alignment with your highest truth. It's the peace of understanding that you don't have to earn your place in this world. You belong here simply because you exist. As we come to the end of our time together, I want you to know that everything we've explored today isn't just theory or wishful thinking. It's a very real possibility for your life. The capacity for deep, genuine self-respect already lives within you. It's been there all along, waiting patiently for you to clear away the debris of conditioning and criticism that has been covering it up. The journey to true self-respect isn't always easy, and it's not always quick, but it's always worth it. There will be days when you slip back into old patterns of self-criticism, and that's perfectly normal. What matters is that you notice when it happens and gently guide yourself back to love. What matters is that you keep choosing kindness over criticism, respect over judgment, love over fear. Your first step might be as simple as catching yourself the next time you speak harshly to yourself and choosing to speak more kindly instead. It might be setting one small boundary that honors your needs. It might be looking in the mirror tonight and saying something loving to the person looking back at you. Whatever your first step is, trust that it's the perfect beginning. You deserve to feel good about yourself. You deserve to be treated with kindness and respect, especially by yourself. You deserve to take up space in this world, to have your voice heard, to live authentically and boldly. These aren't things you have to earn or prove. They're your birthright as a beautiful, valuable human being. Remember, you are enough, exactly as you are right now. You're not a work in progress that will someday be worthy of love. You're a magnificent being who is worthy of love right now. The world needs your unique gifts, your special perspective, your beautiful heart. The world needs you to treat yourself with the respect and love you deserve, because when you do, you give everyone around you permission to do the same. Take this with you as you go. I respect myself deeply and completely. I treat myself with kindness and compassion. I honor my worth, I trust my wisdom, and I celebrate my authentic self. I am enough. I have always been enough, and I will always be enough. And so it is. Go forward with love, dear one. Go forward with respect for the magnificent being you are. The world is waiting for the gift of your authentic self.